Yep, we are set to go.
Okay, I call a meeting order for Finance and Rules Committee. Everybody's had a chance to see the minutes of the last meeting. Let's look for a motion to approve them. Yep. Bill, second. Everybody.
Aye.
Minutes are approved. Move on to presentations. Eric?
Sure. I will just give an introduction. Tyler Frame, and Tyler, if you want to come forward, have a seat if you want, or stand if you want. Tyler is with,
Just disconnected our.
I think I just disconnected her.
We don't need that one, that's all right.
You don't need that one?
No.
All right. Sorry about that. Tyler's with 3+1. We started working with them less than a year ago, I think it was, October 2020, and a few other Tyler's associates from 3+1 came and talked to you, gave you some information about what they did probably about a year ago, and then we kicked off our actual work with them. I think I met Tyler for the first time a week ago. I've seen him a lot on Zoom over the last 10, 12 months. But I wanted to have him just come and give you an update on the activity that we've been doing with 3+1 and how we've kind of transitioned our investment program.
Awesome. Thank you all very much for the opportunity today. I don't want to take much of your time. I just wanted to share a little bit of who we are at 3+1, what we do to serve Lewis County and 24 other counties across New York State. I want to start off by just giving some kudos to Treasurer Berkler and his team. I know Tassin's right behind me. They have done an outstanding job just since October of last year. You know, we work with over 70 public entities across the United States. And what 3+1 does is we're just a data company. So our sole goal is to be an objective third party and ensure that counties, cities, towns, school districts, all public entities that we serve across the country are maximizing their financial resources. Now, everyone knows the treasurer's office and every other team within the county is running 1,000 miles an hour in a million different directions every day. And to have an outside third party solely focusing on data, particularly liquidity data today, is really vital. And the results that we have been able to achieve together with Eric and his team have been really substantial just since October of last year. Because of what our data has helped Eric do, the county is going to benefit by approximately $170,000. Now, interest rates, as everyone in this room probably has heard, are pretty low right now. And for the last 100 years, they've gone up and down. They're going to continue to do that. But as a data company, our sole goal is really to implement a liquidity strategy through data and allow Eric and his team to make decisions with more confidence, ensuring that every taxpayer dollar in Lewis County is maximized to its fullest potential. So we also have a partnership with NYSAC, the New York State Association of Counties. We also have one with NACO, the National Association of Counties, who is an official partner and we're endorsed by them. They have said that CashVest by 3+1 is a best practice. So we really salute you all and are really honored to work with you. Just to see the results in such a short period of time is really exciting. Eric, I know you're familiar with our CashVest score, which we kind of use as a report card. Every quarter, we update our data, we look at what's been accomplished, we outline next steps. But what it does is it keeps everyone accountable, both the county and 3+1. And since October of last year, the county started at a 40 out of 100 CashVest score. In less than 1 year, you're now at an 87. And by next quarter, you're estimated to be in the 90s. So I just want to give, again, kudos to Eric and your team. Really outstanding and encouraging to see the kind of results that have been achieved in a short period of time. And we just we're just getting started in New York. We're working with 24 counties right now and a bunch of school districts and other public entities. But we're excited to showcase the results that have happened in Lewis County, and we really appreciate the opportunity to share that with you today. I don't know if you have anything to add, Eric?
A couple things to add, but maybe I'd let them ask questions first.
Absolutely. Would welcome that.
You mentioned 170,000. What period would that be? Would that be like this calendar year, or what is it?
That's a great question, sir. So part of that has already been realized, and part of it is by using the data that we provide, the county is going to realize that over the next 12 months. But a portion of, about a third of that dollar amount has already been realized.
So in a year and a half then would be the time frame
Yes, sir.
for us to gain 170,000 that we wouldn't have had before?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you for your question. Any other questions or?
I would add a couple comments. I mean, one, I think also I want to give Taz some credit because she's really my banking guru. And things that 3+1 has had, we focused on little things like number of bank accounts, which we were at 35, 36 bank accounts maybe when we started. We've reduced that, which is one of the goals that 3+1 has. I think we've cut 3 to 4 bank accounts, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's improvement. I just had an email today that is going to ask us from a department to create a new bank account. We're going to talk about that because we prefer not to. So that's little stuff, but it's important. I think the other comment I had, Tyler's mentioned they're a data company, but I think their relationships have been very helpful. Our primary banking relationship was with Community Bank. We were earning like next to nothing, maybe zero on our checking account.
0.01%.
Or less. So one of the things that the relationship with 3+1 did, they actually made contact with Community Bank and said, can you do any better? And they did. I think I'd asked them that and got nowhere. They asked them that and they got up to 0.15.
I think at one point it was 0.30.
So a pretty big improvement for all of our operational cash, which we have a decent amount of operational cash. So most of that now is earning a substantial amount more. And then the other thing was they kind of go out and shop investments for us. We had all of our investments in one bank that, they told me, our business is not really to provide high earning funds for an entity like yours. We just don't play in, the millions and millions of dollar world that bank works really in. So with 3+1, they went out and shopped and found a brand new bank for us to work with. We moved a significant amount of money to them in a 1 month period. And that's where we've been for the last 6 months or so. We laddered CDs in essence with that bank. So the relationships that they helped us change or find have been very important. So it's data definitely, but their knowledge of the investment world and the interest and the banks that would really come to the table for us has been very helpful also.
Yeah, and just one note on that, as an independent third party, we don't ultimately make any decisions for the county. That's completely at Eric's discretion. So we bring all the market opportunities to the treasurer's office, but we don't execute any transactions. That's part of something that we think is important at 3+1. If you are a financial partner and you are telling an entity you have X number of dollars to invest, bring it to us. From our perspective, there's a little bit of a conflict of interest there because they may be taking a fee when they're telling you how much you have to invest. We don't execute any transactions, so we use our data to show the county what its potential is. And by serving over 75 entities across the country, we have a data lake of market information so that we know we're reaching out to a bank on the county's behalf. We know where they should be in the market. And in some cases, as Eric mentioned, they can be a little bit more competitive when they know they're dealing with somebody who understands the market from a national perspective. So I think it's been a great relationship, and we really thank you for the opportunity. Any other questions?
Anybody got anything, or questions? Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate everyone's time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll Zoom with you again soon.
All right, looking forward to it.
You're all set, Ryan?
Yeah.
You got 3 extra minutes.
So Tyler did well.
I would did very good. Now,
Yeah.
if Ryan could do anywhere near that,
I'll keep this one quick. Part of the American Rescue Fund, funding that we received was to create a facade program, a facade and streetscape improvement program. This is replicated after Livingston County. You'll recall that Kevin from Kathy's office actually gave a PowerPoint presentation on this several months ago. Kevin's no longer with the county, but we are going forward with the project. Kathy's new hire, Megan, is taking the baton. We are hoping, as long as you guys agree to move the money forward, to launch the first round of this program for $250,000, making it available to Main Street businesses across the county. We have all the application materials ready. We have the marketing materials ready. And so at this point, we are ready to move the program forward, as long as the legislators are okay with spending this first portion of the American Rescue Plan funding. Which, by the way, we have been asked by NISAC to present at the September committee. We are one of the few counties that really have our ducks in a row with our American Rescue Plan funding. And I shared our plan, Eric and I shared our plan with NISAC last week, because we were kind of second guessing ourselves. Are we really ready to start spending money? It didn't seem like the rest of the state was there, and NISAC and our auditors have given us the green light. All of our ducks are in a row. So this is the first portion of that, but we'll also be sharing the rest of our plan at the NISAC meeting in September. And, you know, it's a nice honor to be asked as a small county to kind of highlight the things that we've done, because we are really, you know, far ahead of many of the other communities in New York State. So this is the first project going forward. There's a resolution in your packet, but any questions or thoughts on the facade program before we launch that?
What is the reach out plan? Do you have a reach out plan?
Yes, they have a plan. They're going to direct mail for any chamber member, so they're gonna get a direct notification. Obviously, social media through the IDA. Basically, the IDA is taking the reins on marketing, and then planning is taking the reins on taking the applications, and then planning, IDA, chamber will review the applications and then start doling out the funds. So,
Would there be any opportunities for in-person town halls or whatever?
you know, I don't know if we thought of that, but we probably could and should do that, yes. I think that's a good idea. He said, could we do town halls to get the word out about the facade program?
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, we could. Each community, we'd really like to spread the funds out evenly. You know, each community should have some projects. We're going to do 2 rounds of 250,000, or 1 round of what was it?
250 the first,
250 and then
200 the second.
200 the second round. So it'll be 2 rounds.
And
You got rid of that 170 grand.
Yeah, I got no problem spending money, Ron.
so the person that gets this contributes 25%, is that?
30%, I believe.
Pardon me?
30%, I believe.
Because 75.
It's 25.
That's why we've reduced it then, there you go, 75, 25. We've changed it a bunch of times, but yeah, 75, 25. They have to show copies of checks that have been paid to vendors, so we have to approve the application ahead. And then they have to show us that they've actually paid out the funds. And then at that time, we will write the check to reimburse.
Spend it to get it.
Spend it to get it. We've also talked to the IDA about the micro enterprise loan and some of the other programs. If there is a business owner that is struggling with the cash up front, maybe the IDA could help cover that cost so the project still goes forward.
Do you have any thoughts on a minimum or maximum?
Maximum we did set,
It's in the guidelines that planning developed. I forget what the maximum was.
I think it was $100,000 project, so it'd be a $75,000 county commitment maximum. But that would be if like, you know, the Bateman or some gigantic 3-story building really wanted to do something, you know, we would be able to help them with that.
But we have no problem with small somethings.
Oh, small somethings are great, absolutely, yep, without a doubt.
That's good.
Is that sound talk right there?
It is indeed Town Talk, and then the building in, I believe, Port Lyden, that actually at this point might be
The old
being
fire hall.
condemned. And then,
the fabric shop? Yeah.
and then the one up, that's, I believe that is not, I don't even think that's in Lewis County.
No, that's.
We don't have much graffiti, I guess. So,
Ryan, what are the dates of being able to use this? We just had quite a bit of facade work done in the center of town down here.
yes,
Can that be applied or asked for this?
we're not gonna go retro, so, you know, that there'd be, in my view, it would not be good to spend public money on a project that's already done.
No, I agree with you. I just thought maybe this thing had kicked off already when I saw.
Oh,
that work
no,
being
no,
done.
we're,
You're still
we
setting
can't kick
up.
it off until you guys are willing to allocate the money, so that's kind of what, appropriate the money, so that's what today's about, yeah. There's also opportunity for governments in here, so it's not just private. If a village or town wants to do benches, mural, wrought iron, you know, fencing or signing, or, you know, anything that will spruce up our communities, it'll be available for them as well. But that's a good idea, Phil. I think we should get out to some of the communities at least, you know, through some of their village board meetings and at least kind of get out there and let people know what's going on.
Did you just say I had a good idea for the record, Cassandra?
I don't, is that gonna be reflected in the minutes, Cassandra?
Make sure you use some color ink too.
Red.
For danger.
Any other questions, thoughts? We will hopefully, at the end of this round, be able to bring back some before and after photos. That's part of the requirement. We have to take before photos so that we can match them with after photos and really show some improvements.
Okay. Very good. Moving along, I guess this is Ryan again, COLA.
So typically for our management exempt employees and our management confidential employees, we follow the cost of living that is agreed to in the general CSEA union contract. That union contract has been in negotiations at this point for over a year. It is still in negotiations. Rather than continue to wait, our management employees are not in a union, so we're asking the board to consider moving forward with the management confidential and management exempt cost of living increase this year. We settled a contract with the road patrol. In that contract, the road patrol agreed to create a new tier for health insurance. meaning new employees starting January 1st, 2022 will not be allowed to receive the PPO plan, which is our expensive health plan. We would like to do the same for management. So new management confidential and management exempt employees starting January 1st, 2022 will no longer have access to the PPO health plan. And in keeping with what we gave to the road patrol union, we would like to reward the management employees with a 3% raise, same as we did for road patrol when they agreed to give up their health tier. So we now have 2 of our 4 groups of employees that have agreed to give up the new PPO to create the new tier. So we had planned for a 2% increase. The additional 1% would be a total cost across the board of $25,000. So we're trying to build momentum that if we create the new tier, there, can be ways to have that made up for through salary. So that's what we're asking the board to consider. If we get too deep into discussion about union negotiations, we're gonna have to take it into executive session. But this topic in and of itself is not executive session worthy. Joan,
Great job, John, great job.
there's a lot of things I was not allowed
I
to
didn't
mention.
have to put them.
He has a buzzer under his seat.
So that's what we're asking the board to consider.
Any questions, comments for Ryan on that?
Did the management personnel get a stipend basically for the hours they worked through the pandemic, or making phone calls out of their offices mostly during their own business hours?
No,
Wrong. Absolutely not. There
What
was
did you get?
there was no hazard pay that was given. It was overtime for folks that were unable to be compensated for overtime during the pandemic. Yes.
Including the management?
It was including department head. It was department head. If you're not management, you got overtime.
It's like the Board of Elections, they came to the Krogan vaccine clinic and worked their evening there, so they got paid for it.
They wouldn't have otherwise gotten paid, but we got grant funding that allowed us to reward them for
Because
helping.
theirs, they don't get overtime.
Well, that's grant money?
That was, yes.
That seemed like quite a chunk of change.
It wasn't. It was only about 15 employees.
Per employee,
It
no.
wasn't all.
overtime.
Did they get paid in half or what was it?
Yes.
Just like everybody else? Okay.
I think that kind of also, if you look forward in setting these wages and percentage increase, also leads into the next contract negotiations with the other 2 unions that have not settled.
Correct.
So, and one's much larger than the sheriff deputies union or the management level people too. We didn't used to just set one level of pay raises. It was all contingent on actually individual department heads and how well they were actually doing their job. And they got an increase, and some of them wasn't just 3, some of them were more than 3%.
Well, in theory, sure, but that actually never ended up happening, which is why we revised the management compensation policy last year.
Anything else?
Do you need a motion or anything on that?
Yeah, I don't think that there is a corresponding resolution here, right, John?
Correct, there is
So-
not, because we wanted to bring it to the board. We would have to bring forth that resolution and also a local law to cover that cost of living increase.
And Ryan, I think to add, you're considering that would to be retroactive for 2020.
Correct.
So what do we need to finish that out?
If this is a plan that the committee would like to see go forward, then you can make a motion and then we'll turn it into a full resolution for the September.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we put this plan together for a resolution.
Is there exemptions in this, to this? Is it like the elected officials, they are not included?
Right, and we have to follow the
Just
management, the management,
Not elected officials.
They are in that,
Our elected officials are allowed cost of living increases
they're not
per our
allowed.
policy.
Well,
It's not a step.
I think when they got elected, and they got the same wage as the person going out the door, they agreed that they were not going to seek pay increases
No, we
during that
passed,
four-year
we
term.
passed a policy that said elected officials are eligible for cost of living, they are not eligible for steps. Or longevity.
You went back and find out.
so if I can, Tom, the motion would be to allow for the cost of living increase of 3% to the exempt employees, including electeds, and the confidential management employees as well, retroactive for 2021.
In conjunction with the fact that they give up access to.
And with the, in addition to that group of employees, any new hires under those groups will not be able to have the PPO commencing January 1st, 2022.
Including elected,
Yes,
anybody in that group.
I'd like to offer one thought on that, I think. Didn't we just, we're elected officials, the legislators are. Didn't we just take and raise ours last year? So I'm not sure what it would be prudent to have us in this next one.
You're not in the
Management.
management exempt or management confidential.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I made a motion supporting what Joan just said.
I'll second.
Okay, second by Ian. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Great, opposed?
They will
Motion carried.
prepare, yep, we'll prepare that for, the September meeting.
Okay. And next, I guess we're ready to move on the docket then.
Okay, the first one is introductory local law number 2-2021, a local law to authorize overriding the tax levy limit established by general municipal law 3-C, aka 2% tax cap for the Lewis County 2022 budget and setting the public hearing for October 5th, 2021.
Questions or comments?
We normally do this every year and then we rescind it. Is
Yeah,
that-
that's why bother.
Yeah,
I see no need to do it.
I don't
We never go over the cap, and we've had a lot worse
We
financial
should have
times.
zero budget this time around anyway, since we're flush with cash.
And
Use
then
that
you've
statement,
got
Brian.
Operational expenses, and then you've got things you want to keep off the operational.
Right.
Well, should have a zero.
And that's true, but we've never gone over the
Oh,
cap. And,
14 years, you've never done it.
right, so I think we've been very, very prudent. And thanks to county managers and treasurers and the board. So I don't see that changing, so I don't see a need to do it. And I think it sends a message to our taxpayers that we're taking care of things.
Patty O'Brien and Terry, I had the same argument with them. They always used to say that, yes, Ryan, that's true, but if the legislators wanted, they could amend the budget and add something, and it would affect the tax rate, and they always wanted them to have that freedom to be able to do that. So just the consequence of not doing this would be, you'll be limited on what you're able to adjust once we get into the, the final budget, but that's.
But again, that's operational,
Correct, yes,
and we have,
other.
So anyway, I'm opposed to it.
So, okay, do we need a vote on it, or can we just general consensus to not?
So my understanding by the standing rules is that you guys would give it a negative recommendation, but it still goes to the full board.
Okay. All right, anybody in favor? Nays?
Nay.
Everybody, okay. So resolution failed.
Resolution authorizing agreement with the New York State Board of Elections for the Technology Innovation and Election Resource Grant Program in the amount of $28,118.33 and approve the budget appropriation in the Board of Election accounts.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Resolution authorizing and approving the terms and conditions set forth in the Janssen, New York statewide opioid settlement agreement between Janssen, the state of New York, and the participating subdivisions, of which the county of Lewis is one.
Questions or comments?
Tom, I'd just like to make a comment. I have no problem getting the money, and that's what this is about, but I would like to see us consider splitting it equally with all the schools, because it's the kids that we want to protect or.
Tom, can I comment, can I
Yep.
respond to
I haven't even
Phil?
finished and you're gonna disagree with
I'm
me.
I'm gonna tell you that, except the first tier of payments, which is not restricted, the other two tiers that are given out are very restricted as to what they can be used for, and they have to be. And so it may very well be that we can do it with the schools, but it has to be related to the opioid issue. So we
And
have to
that's
be
what I
very
hope
careful
it
about how
would
we
be,
use it.
you know,
Yeah.
educational wise or whatever, but, and I know we're just accepting the money here, so I'm just
Right.
planting the seed for the future.
Okay, any other questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried.
Resolution authorizing and approving the planning department's 3-year facade and streetscape improvement program project in the amount of $450,000 and appropriate round 1 funds in the amount of $250,000 utilizing capital reserve account HAZ American Rescue Plan Act with 75% funding with eligible improvements to mixed use and commercial buildings and properties and streetscape enhancement in all the villages and hamlets in Lewis County.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
I,
Ryan, in the municipality part of that one,
Mhm.
does that include lighting? They wanna put new lighting up?
If it's decorative lighting, sure.
Decorative.
If it's just more industrial, bad looking, then no.
No, like, you know, like the old fashioned street
Yeah,
lighting.
yes, absolutely.
Any other questions? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Resolution carried.
Resolution establishing standard workdays for elected and appointed officials and reporting the day's work to the New York State and local employees retirement system.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye? Opposed? Resolution carried.
Resolution setting the computation for the 2022 workers' compensation participant assessments of the Lewis County self-insurance plan.
Questions or comments? All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution carried. Anything else?
I believe we do have an executive session. Motion, caseworker? Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
We have the motion that is coming forward from the Health and Human Services Committee, and that is a motion to authorize Social Services Commissioner Jennifer Jones to refill one caseworker position effective immediately due to resignation.
Make that a motion, a second.
Sure.
I'll second. second Greg, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Motion carried.
It's not my committee though. I know Mr. Care showed up, I don't know,
Okay,
before we went into executive session.
Yeah, for the Health and Human Services.
Did I miss it?
No, we're done.
Yeah, we did it.
We did it.
But you got something?
Yeah, speaking of.
I stepped down, I didn't know if you'd already gone, but.
No, no, I had nothing, just to address any issues that you might have, or questions, I should say, rather than issues.
okay,
Okay, thank you.
all right, thank you. That covers everything, motion to go into executive session.
I'll move it.
Ian, second by Greg. We'll go into executive session. For